Hello guys, today we're gonna look at the last 7th zone that I have not made a video yet on, which is the dark single targets 7th zone. If you're interested in checking out the guide for the light zone as well, I have already made one when it was available last week. So I will just, not last week, last time, so I'll just leave a link in the description below, both to the light zone and the entire 7th zone playlist as well that I made. So for this video, we're going to be looking at the dark zone. And for the dark zone, as you might have guessed, you will need your light units. The most efficient damage dealers are the light units because the monster has a weakness to the light element and the resistance to all the other elements. So you want to be using your highest level or highest light damage dealers. In my case, I don't really have that great of a light unit setup, but I have a +2 Haruhime, the OVA Haruhime, and the +2 Finn, the new one. The Finn is especially great this week because the element type is dragon, but if you're watching this at a later date, when Dark Zone comes back, the single target version of it, there might be another enemy type, so you might be able to use even some non-light attackers if they're high level and they have the, like in this case, Finn has Dragon Killer, so let's say it's a Beast Dark type. Next time, you might be able to just use the one of your +5 Beast Killer units as well, despite the fact that there's a resistance to the element. I've already had success with that in the past, so it should also work. Other than that, you want to make sure you're prepared for the stun the enemy inflicts. So you can either have your 3-star MLB, I think it's Misha for stuns, or you can have the glorious anklets for stun, which is what I'm using in this setup. And then you just make sure you have enough defenses, make sure you have buff extension. In this case, I'm also going to be using the Winter Haruhime because she removes the buffs and debuffs that the enemy applies on your units, so that we can start dealing full damage once again. And she also has an option to regenerate mana for your units, so she is a great option as well. With that, let's go ahead and go into it. The sacrificial units I've decided to use are the Line, which is used just for the special gouge up buff. If you don't know what sacrificial units are, they are units that have a revolving amulet equipped, which means that they're able to rotate out after the one attack, buff or debuff or anything else that you decide to use them for. So as you'll be able to see, the Line will rotate out at the end of the turn. If you don't know how to get the anklets, you can craft them in Blacksmith using the materials from Record Buster. So we're just going to apply our standard buffs and debuffs on turn 1. And then the second unit I've decided to use as a sacrificial unit in this case is going to be just some unit with the magic resist debuff, because the Finn and the Haruhime by itself don't apply it. The Finn applies a light resistance debuff and a physical resistance debuff, but no one applies the magic resist debuff, so Haruhime deals increased damage. So Lufia is gonna reduce that magic resist and also the water resistance, but that's pretty irrelevant in this case. So we're also gonna apply the buff for the damage received plus 20% by the Haruhime. If you're using, let's say you're using 2 physical attackers that don't include Haruhime or some other unit, you could also sacrifice a unit with a revolving amulet that has the plus 20% damage increase, and that's also a way to go about it. Okay. Okay, so pretty much everything's applied. if the Haruhime in this case could have even died straight up in this case, if the dragon hit it twice in a row, but in 7th zone, if this happens, you can always just restart the run because you have unlimited tries as long as the event is still up, and you can make sure everything is working as you planned to have it work. So we still have to apply the physical resist debuff and strength buff on Finn, and then we should be good to go for just extending the buffs and debuffs pretty much forever with the Haruhime. Okay, so turn 4 I usually do the Haruhime special just to increase the strength and magic of all the units by 100%, and if you're using multiple damage dealers instead of just one main damage dealer, you should probably use her special attack as well. And then the other Haruhime is going to get rid of the debuffs on my units that the enemy applies. Those debuffs they're just 25%, so you can clear the stage even if you don't have the debuff removal unit, so that's not something to be particularly worried about, but it is an option with Haruhime, the winter one. I've also been talking a little bit too much and pausing while I was playing, so the video might be a bit longer, which I'm sorry for, but I did not want to mess something up as I'm doing this, just to make sure everything is proper. Okay, Haruhime is gonna extend, and now we can just, since everything is applied, all the buffs are applied and I'm going to be extending them with Haruhime, I can just be using Haruhime's skill free to extend the buffs and debuffs, and then just keep using the strongest attacks on the damage dealers I have pretty much until the end. I don't have to reapply buffs and debuffs, and it's just going to change when there will be a special attack turn, basically. Okay. And now it should be just a matter of time before we end up clearing the fight. On this turn, where I got the first special attack after the Haruhimes, I'm going to use the Ova Haruhime one just to further increase her light attack damage buff from 60% to 80%, so that she will deal that little bit more damage, and then after that we will use the special attacks in combination, and I will explain why we're going to be doing that when it comes to that. Okay, so the first one dealt 500,000 damage. The monster HP is 8 million, and you have 20 turns to clear it, so as long as you have some decent damage dealers, you should be able to do it at least in the 20 turns. And it's not really that important to go for score in 7th zone, as the most important thing you want to get is just the materials, the weapon ascension materials and the armor ascension materials for clearing the stage. So as long as you're able to clear it in the 20 turns, you should be good. You shouldn't really have to worry about the score, unless you of course have the time to spend to further increase, to further optimize your team and so on. But you shouldn't really have to worry about it per se. Okay, so I think on turn 11 or turn 12 is when we get the second special attack as well. So we're once again going to remove the buffs and debuffs with Haruhime, just to deal full damage again after this turn, which is perfectly in line with getting the next special attack bar, so we can use the special attack on this turn. Okay, so here we're going to be using two special attacks at the same time, and for everybody who doesn't already know, if you use more than one special attack at the same time, it actually increases the damage of the special attacks, of each of these special attacks, by a certain amount, and that amount with 2 units is 20% bonus damage for each of the attacks, and 40% for 3 and 60% for 4 special attacks at the same time. And then if the units also have a combo in their skill arsenal, I guess, that is the same, so if they share the same combo, they also do a combination attack, which in this case they didn't, because they do not have the combination of the same name. And you can always check the combination details when you're looking at the units. So there's always that to have. So if you have multiple damage dealers, you should try to do a combination attack. And if you have one damage dealer that is doing way more damage than the other ones, you should just probably be using his special attack over and over, as that is probably going to end up being more damage in the end. Okay, so this turn is probably going to be the one that we clear it, but as I said, you have 6 more turns to clear it if it doesn't go as well as it did here. So yeah, let's see the score. It should be a little bit lower because I remember clearing it a few turns earlier, even, I think, or a turn or two earlier, but the score, as I said, isn't really that important. Anyways, thank you very much for watching. If you want to check out all the 7th zone, the other ones, I'll leave a link in the description below, and I hope you have success with clearing yours. And I will see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.